the only differential that a casino group has between whether a customer comes to you or to somewhere else is based on customer service. And customer service, obviously, a good part of that is reputation. So, for example, if we did leak information about customers either to each other or to somebody who wanted to publish that information, then that would be very damaging to us. And that is actually, a near miss on an event like that is what led us to getting Tessian in the first place. We had an event where one of our customer relations advisors was sending out invitations to their top 100 customers. Now, one of the ones that they sent out, instead of attaching a JPEG, they accidentally attached an Excel sheet that they had in the same folder, presumably, on their computer. And the Excel sheet was the actual breakdown of their top 100 customers, including all the gameplay, visits, all this kind of information. Luckily, they also misspelt the email address and it bounced back. So we were very lucky with that. But it was at that point we went, if that had gone through, that could have been disastrous, particularly as the person who they were inviting, whilst being quite a good customer of ours, they are also known to be an agent to a lot of top customers. We'd had incidents, but they were relatively minor. So therefore, what do you focus on in terms of budget? You focus on things that are more major. When we, of course, had the incident with the spreadsheet of the top 100 players, then that woke everybody up. And it wasn't the case of how much it was a case of which one do you want to buy. Yeah, so obviously we are covered by GDPR and other things like that. We're also covered by Sarbanes-Oxley because our US parent company is a public listing. So those are a factor. And obviously that particular email would have been reputational damage and a GDPR reporting issue. So we would have had to report that to the ICO. Would it have been a fine? We could argue that we had some solutions in place. We'd obviously then put Tessian in, it may have been, it's probably out of everything that we've had happen. It's one of the things that would most likely have been a fine. Which obviously wouldn't have been good. But it was more, for us, it was more the fact that the person who would have received that email would have used the information for their own benefit, potentially against us.
Yeah.
So, entertainment industry, not just our sector, but all sectors in the entertainment industry are around customer service and personal contact. People, even if you go to the theatre, you go to see a play at a theatre and you enjoy the play, but you probably decide whether you like that theatre or not, and that could be based on the decor, but it's more likely based on the people. And the people who work in the entertainment industry have details of good customers, and when they leave one particular venue and go to somewhere else, they try and take those details with them. So, that is the other side of having a solution like this, is to watch for customer information being emailed out, not to a third party, where it was problematic from previous things mentioned, but where they try and email it to themselves. And we did, I think this was actually pre-Tessian, but it's obviously something Tessian would catch as well, is we did have something where somebody had emailed to their own Gmail, their top 100, not all the gaming history and everything, but just name and contact info because they were leaving. And yes, that is an important, it's very much lower down in the, in the rule of things for us, but it is an important thing. So, and we kind of had a sort of build up of, well, we should probably be doing something, maybe we should be doing something. Oh, we absolutely need to do something. And in fact, it was probably multiple human errors that led to that being possible. Obviously the obvious human error of the person just adding the wrong attachment. But then realistically, they shouldn't have had that amount of information in a spreadsheet sitting in an area that they could accidentally attach. So we did also work on processes where we found out, why did they have that level of information? Do they need the full detailed financial results of those visits? Probably not. Do they need all the visits for the last 7 years? Absolutely not. And so, yeah, not only did we obviously, look into products like Tessian, that ended up with Tessian, but we also looked into procedures and processes with our marketing team, with our management accounting team. We need to minimising the amount of information that is out there, because we have a number of email users who are things like, they might be a pit desk or something. Now, they don't ever email people outside, so there's no point having a solution like Tessian covering them, because they're only there for some internal communications. We wanted to obviously select groups of users that we wanted to go through Tessian, which is, for example, like everybody in our head office, all of the management teams in our venues, all of the customer relations people in the venues, all of the reception teams, because of course they deal with customers, things like that. We truly believe that accidental information loss is probably 100 times more likely than deliberate information loss. Having a solution that can categorize emails and say, yes, this email contains PII data or PCI data or financial data, or a custom rule where it catches strings that look like your membership numbers, or things like that. There's 1,000 solutions that can do that. Some are easier to use, some are cheaper, some are whatever, but there's lots and lots of choice. But the thing with Tessian that really for us was the feature that made us choose Tessian over the competition was that accidental sending to somebody, where Tessian picks up, you normally have this kind of conversation with this person, where somebody picks the wrong Tom out of an autocomplete address book entry. The other thing that we were very keen on is we had a solution in place already that did the traditional stuff, but obviously didn't do the accidental. It gave probably 4 times as many false positives as real events. So it was quite a management overhead to look at it, and it meant we could only ever have it in information mode. It couldn't be in block mode. With Tessian, we spoke to, I think it was a legal firm who were using the product, and one of the things that, the only thing that we were really interested in was, how many false positives does it give? How many times do people get interrupted when it's something that they did actually mean to do and is a good thing for them? And as has been borne out since we've been using it, it's not a product that gets in the way. It isn't a human, it is a computer, so it is learning. But if you click on the button to say, no, I do mean to include both of these pieces in conversations like this, it will learn that, and then it won't bother you again. With the old solution, where we would have probably 100 alerts a day, it was quite a lot of effort to go through, because you have to look at each one, because it might be a real one. When I said 4 to 1, it was probably more like 10 to 1 actually. There was, there really were hardly any real positives that it was picking up, and it certainly didn't pick up the ones where you pick the wrong person in the address book, because of course the contents of that email are perfectly okay. You've just sent it to the wrong person, but there were so many false positives, it was a nightmare. Whereas with Tessian, because it's a much more manageable number of alerts, and they're all, they're all genuine in some way or another, it means that you can actually easily just go, okay, right, let's deal with that one, let's deal with that one. I think, look, we don't get a huge number, which is good, but on average we'll get something like 5 or 6 unauthorized emails a day, which is perfectly manageable. The misdirected, we're looking at a couple, 2 or 3 a week. The platform gives us a good indication of what's going on. It hasn't, overwarned people. As I said, that's the, the thing about Tessian we like is it isn't too chatty. So we did have a solution that would tend to pick up unauthorized. So where, there was a spreadsheet going to a Gmail address or something like that. But the only way it worked is it basically told us about every person who sent a spreadsheet to a Gmail address, So it did track it, but it wasn't, it would pick up somebody sending home their, their flat share bills that they were planning, with their flatmate, which is obviously totally innocuous, and not something we want to know about. So we did have that, and it did have one bit of custom code that would pick up our membership number strings we put in there because it did support regex. But with that, we found that the strings that are our membership numbers also happen to be the antivirus update numbers for, I think it's Avira antivirus. So any email where somebody was replying to somebody from the outside and that person had Avira antivirus, and therefore at the bottom of their email they'd got, hey, checked with Avira antivirus version 864, whatever, every single one of those would get picked up. Some days you would have 100 and not one of them would be of merit. Most days there would be, one or two. And there might not be as many as 100. It might be one or two out of 30 or something. But it was just a deluge of junk, basically, with the occasional useful bit of information, which meant, as I said, we couldn't actually make it block anybody, and it didn't have any feature like, of course, Tessian has, where you can say, I think this is wrong, tell me. So it would never learn, it would never get any better. You couldn't have the user say, no, I really do need to send this one. Yeah, so we do, obviously, we have the summary email come through, we check the dashboards at least once a week, kind of thing. And we have used them to have a conversation with a couple of people who, keep filling it in. Yeah, I need to do this. And you're like, you don't need to do that. Why are you doing that? You can just do it this way. Oh, I didn't realize, this. And it's not like they're causing a real problem, but they're just doing a workaround that they don't need to do because they didn't realize that something else existed. So it's helped us with that. So we did see, people who say, one of the most common things that people do is they send things to their own, personal email address for some reason or another. With working from home, that increased because they might be sending it to their home email address because something they need to print out and sign, for example, maybe a contract or something. Obviously, we don't want people sending contracts to their own personal email address. It's not as bad as customer details, but it's still not good. And we noticed that with since we've had Tessian in, the majority of people who do something like that see the warnings and then go, oh, I shouldn't be doing that then. And then either we contact them to say, because if they do it more than a couple of times, we'll go, look, why do you keep doing this? It's telling you you're not supposed to do it. You're having to fill in why you're doing it. So what are you doing? And then we'll give them an alternative, or a number of them just stop because they realised actually it wasn't, they were needing to print it at home or something.